Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
As always, the Ramble is sponsored by Action Coach Sheffield. If you're a growing business and you want support to continue that growth, they are the people to speak to. Thank you for John and the team for their continued support for the Ramble. And today's Ramble is also sponsored by V&B Auto Centres at Handsworth. They're still offering that fantastic deal of 50% off your next MOT when you let them know you're a Rambler. And thank you again to Aaron and the team for their support also. What is happening, Blades? What is happening to our club? What is this club doing to us? Oh my word! Welcome back to the Blades Ramble. Thank you everybody for joining me. Absolutely ludicrous. Wow. Okay, so first of all, what do we know? Where do we start? I've just been on Big Shop. This isn't Sheffield United related. Just been on Big Shop, and my phone is on fire. People ringing me, people texting me, messaging me about what's going on at United. I don't know. I'm trying to get a loaf of bread and, some pizzas for tea tonight or something, but I've left it all on the side. Don't tell Mrs. Ramble. I'll be in a lot of trouble. It's all been left on the side as I've rushed in here, trying to get as much information together as I can, and I'm going to give you everything that I know right now, but I want your comments in. This is obviously a live stream, so if anything happens while we're on, we'll let you know, but you'll let me know as well, so that might happen as well, so we shall see. Absolutely incredible, because this is very un-Sheffield United-like, but it has been since the new owners came in. So I got some unbelievable stick last night on Three Mardy Blades for saying, apparently, I don't even remember saying this, but both lads were convinced I did, so I'll take their word for it, but Man Mountain and Dave the Nose were saying, I was sure that Tom Cannon weren't going to come in because we weren't going to spend 10 million quid on a forward that wasn't a priority position really, because we've got good forwards, very good forwards to the level in Tyrese Campbell, Kiefer Moore, backed up by Ryan Brewster, Ryan O'Neill coming through the ranks. We play one up top. I was convinced that we wouldn't bring Tom Cannon in, and we did. And that is huge statement. That's what we called the Ramble that night. Okay, so I'm just sorry, news is coming in all the time. Another update from Danny Hall. If you're not following Danny Hall on X, you are missing out. A lot of this information will be coming from Danny Hall. I've got information from other places as well, which I'll touch on. But I'm going to bring up on screen some of Danny's tweets. I'm not going to tell you the full details of his article. I don't think that's fair. I think it's, it's better that you go and read the full details yourself to give credit where it's due. I will always try and do that, by the way. But the reason I mentioned Tom Cannon and not being expected to bring him in is because last night on Three Mardy Blades, which is a Patreon exclusive show, but one of my absolute favourites that I do with my two mates, and Dave he wasn't convinced, but he had a sneaking suspicion it might be Tanganga. And I'm saying, nah. Steve Holmes asked the question. He was like, who do you think is a realistic centre-back option? And I said, it's not realistic. Tanganga's not realistic. But I'm still thinking with sustainable Blades head on, with sensible recruitment, understandable, business-driven. But these new owners may well. Tanganga is no longer, it's heavily rumoured that Jeffot Tanganga, I want to say his first name is of serious interest to United. Now, I would always advise approaching with caution. I don't think we need to run away with excitement that Tanganga's going to, because for me, Tanganga is a player that is excellent in the Championship and can step up potentially to the Premier League. If you look at somebody like Jimmy Dunne, Harry Darling, I've seen that we've been linked with Ryan Porteous today. They are yet to be proven at the higher level. So it's not as much of a sure thing that they could make the jump to the Premier League. We don't need them to. We just need to get there, don't we? We just need to get there. So if we end up with Jimmy Dunne, for example, it's still a really good signing for the level. So I'd be very happy with it. But what we're doing now is potentially buying a player for more money. And that's the difference, isn't it? You're buying the extra bit of quality because you're forking out more money for Tanganga, potentially. I still have a sneaking suspicion, and again, I might be wrong. I clearly was on Tom Cannon. that Tanganga is being used as leverage to get the Dunne deal done. Harry Darling seems to have gone a little bit quiet at the moment. Don't know whether there's anything in that. The latest was, let's have a look at some of the tweets that Danny Hall's been putting out first and foremost, because as I said, Danny has been all over this. I hope they're paying him well over at the Star. So they're too small on my screen to see which one went first, but we'll go with this. Danny says, exclusive, something of a left field story here, but understand United are closing in on 2 shock forward additions ahead of the deadline, identified by AI and driven by the new owners. And as you can see there, you can go and see it, read the article at the Star website. And then he updated it just over an hour later, saying, just a wee update to this story earlier. I'm told the 2 prospective signings prices could run into the 7 figures, and that there could be something of a language barrier if they do indeed arrive at Bramall Lane before 11 o'clock. Okay, then speculation runs rife, doesn't it? United fans getting very excited, understandably so. I was pointed out by Scott, again, crediting the right people. So thank you to Scott. He was the first one to mention it to me. He tagged me online with this report from Michael Bleach, who says, exclusive, hearing that Sheffield United will sign Swedish winger Zidane Inusa and former Chelsea player Tierno Ballo. Both players are flying to the UK with their medicals scheduled for later today. So one plays for, that's a Hacken kit, isn't it, I think, for Inusa. And Ballo, I believe, is playing for Wolfsberger, just according to our chat. That's the Austrian team, not the German Wolfsburg. One thing to note with this story is it's obviously dripped into our chat. I've seen it drip onto X and all the other places that you tend to find it. People getting very excited that these are definitely the 2. I'm not convinced, to be honest. I'm not convinced. And the only reason is the source itself. And this is not, I hope Michael Bleach is right. And if he is, absolutely more power to him. And he deserves getting a fantastic scoop like this. But I think he's got 100 followers on X. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it's a relatively new, it basically means he's definitely unproven as a source. It doesn't mean he's a poor source. It doesn't mean it's not a reliable source of information. It just means it's heavily unproven. So take it with the pinch of salt that you'd like to take it with. You can believe it if you want. Absolutely fine. I've actually heard 2 different names. So one name I'm not going to mention because I'm not convinced on this one, but another name who might have a bit more legs to it is this. And this is João Grimaldo, a Peruvian forward. Well, he's sort of a left winger that plays for FK Partizan. So just keep that one in mind. That's a little taster for you. I'll drop the other name in the platinum chat, and you guys can do a bit of digging yourselves, see if you know about that one. But yeah, so that's this questionable front 2 that we're bringing in from abroad, AI led on the data, which is very exciting. Something that we've not really been as focused on in the past. I have to say it's sort of been breezed over that this is what United World were all about. So those that criticised United World and sort of looked for the issues and faults and things like that, and who did we buy and who did we sign and things like that. This was the approach from United World. This was the data-driven approach. So as much as it's very exciting, and if they are the names that are mentioned, an ex-Chelsea forward and things like that, that sounds really exciting. It's just, I want to always give you balance in terms of things that we're looking at. And I don't want people to run away with thinking, brilliant, we're going to be the next Brighton or Brentford, because the players that we signed based on data, Benny Traore, Anis Slimani, to a degree, Trusty. So these, Larouci. So these players did not work for Sheffield United. And that's under the previous regime. And this new initiative may be completely different, may work on different data and all that sort of thing. So I'm certainly not trying to quash it by any means at all. I think it's really exciting. And I think it's absolutely necessary that in today's age, you go for a blend of both knowledge of the game and the eye test, which I always think is very important. I would do, being an old school scout, but I also think that data is invaluable to support that assessment, if you like. So really exciting in that regard. Have we got any more information from Danny? What's this last one? This is on Jimmy Dunne, isn't it? Snapped it within 45 seconds of him putting it up. Look at that. Danny says United have submitted another offer for Jimmy Dunne at QPR, we understand, after setting a deadline before they move on to other players of interest, including that name, Japhet Tanganga, which has got Unitedites excited. Well, that is an understatement, isn't it? That's a huge understatement. We are ridiculously excited, Danny. And it's a lot of it is your fault because you're tweeting about it. Let's have a look. What else is going on? Cameron Archer to Burnley. Here we go from Fabrizio Romano. That's no. I've been tagged in the wrong thing there. There's a fake Fabrizio Romano account that I won't shout him out, but one of our followers on X. You've got to be careful who you're looking at in terms of where the news is coming from. There's a lot of people easy to try and pull the wool over your eyes. So that's not a goer at all. It's never been on the cards. Jimmy Dunne. Let me try. There's that many notifications buzzing on my phone at the minute. I'm going to jump straight to Danny Hall and see, because something else flashed up just as we went live, which distracted me very briefly. Danny says, word from reluctant Nico, that's Alan Nixon, that the latest bid reported here at the Star for Jimmy Dunne has been rejected by QPR. United has set an early deadline today before they moved on and may have to do just that now. So we might be moving on from Jimmy Dunne. Scott's just tagged me in another shout out to Scott, keeping my finger on the pulse. Pete O'Rourke. A lot of people rate Pete O'Rourke. I think he's a little bit hit and miss, if I'm honest. Apologies to Pete, but that's just my opinion on a source. Sheffield United are in advanced talks to sign Crystal Palace defender Rob Holding on loan after being frustrated in their attempts to sign QPR defender Jimmy Dunne. Well, I would question that as well, because we are at our loan limit for 5. I did say to Mark on 90 after 90, there is a possibility that we use one of our options early. So Hamza Chowdhury, for example, I know he's come in and played 1 game, but he was outstanding. And if we're convinced we sign him, which I am, by the way, for reasons I've explained previously, I think we sign Hamza Chowdhury because he's Vinny insurance. So if we don't get promoted, Vinny Souza will go. We have to accept that. Vinny Souza will be sold for big money, and we can use a portion of that money to buy Hamza Chowdhury, who is a replacement for Vinny Souza. If we get promoted, Hamza Chowdhury will have played his part in that, and we will no doubt make it permanent anyway. So I think we will sign Hamza Chowdhury, come what may. If we are having to look at another loan deal for Rob Holding, Michael Keane, who hasn't been mentioned today or in the last few days either, to be honest. But if we're looking at another loan deal, we are at our maximum. Why not make the Hamza Chowdhury deal permanent today so that we can then go out and get that 5th loan? So that is another possibility. I know it's a lot of sort of wangling and messing about. This is what today is all about, isn't it? It's a crazy day, and it's brilliant. Absolutely. I wasn't supposed to be on till 10 o'clock tonight. So we're on, just while you're all here, we're doing a watch along over on Behind the Ramble with Jordan Motson for our rival. No, it's not that one. It's the wrong thumbnail, because I was rushing like mad. But we are doing a watch along for Borough against Sunderland. And then I'll be jumping straight off that back onto the main channel here for the return of the channel MVP. Andy the Blade makes his return and we're going to see him deadline day. And it looks like, rather than him just sort of reflecting back live on the transfer window, it looks like Sheffield United may well be active right up until the close. So it's so exciting today. Other news, just in brief, it looks like Curtis Havenhand, who's one of our young upcoming stars in the 21s, may be on the move to Birmingham permanently. So that's an interesting one. He looks good. He's been out for some time with injury, but he's a good prospect, a young forward that we've got. But, you know, it's one of these things, really, unfortunately. I don't know how that's coming about. John Egan as well, in other news, looks like he might be on his way to Hull. So, right, I'm going to jump into your comments now, and I'm going to finally take a sip of my coffee that I prioritise making over putting shopping away. Hang on. Mike starts us off. Tanganga would be awesome, but he's a London boy. Yes, he is a London boy. I don't know whether that's you having a pop at me, Mike, and you might not be, and it might be being oversensitive there. I had some doubts about Tanganga wanting to come, because I think there's merit to this London boy thing. I would have put Raksaki in that category as well, to be honest. So I was way off with that. I do know, just from my dad's history in the game and stuff like that, sometimes location matters to players more than it should, probably. So Tanganga could have gone anywhere from Tottenham, and he went to Millwall on a free. It just did not make sense as a deal to me. So, but you never know what's going on behind closed doors, dear. So I hope that's not a thing. And I'm trying not to get too excited about Tanganga because he would be one of those bridge signings, wouldn't he, between Championship and Premier League. We've got a lot of those players in our squad. He's like Gus Hamer is a Championship player who can step up to the Premier League. I think Tanganga's in that category. Will says, thank God there's a live. There's too much excitement just to be working on a Monday and not hearing about the Blades, up the full-time Ramble. Thank you, Will, mate. Hope you're good. Stevie Holmes, if we have the financial clout as suggested, then push the boat out and buy Tanganga and Dunne. I don't think we'll get both, Steve. I know there's talk elsewhere about maybe we do bring in 2 centre halves. If we do, I don't think Tanganga will be one of them because of the significant outlay that he'll cost on his own. But if we bring in 2, I don't think we will bring in 2 because while I think we need to, having said that, Alfie Gilchrist can be a backup, can it? Robinson drops out for the new signing, in my opinion, but Anel doesn't. So I think if you bring in Tanganga and Dunne, you're not playing Jimmy Dunne, are you? Unless you play him at right back. But now we've brought in Harry Clark, so it's a tricky one to sell to a new player not coming in and starting. Every signing we've made this window, Steve, as you'll appreciate, has been a starter, aren't they? Harry says, I think we're signing a whole second 11, Jimmy, with everyone we're linked to. Hope you're okay, mate. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. I am, thank you, pal. Hope you are too. Scott says, hey, up Jimbo. Just hope you got your milk. Never seen so many links on deadline day. Usually the fax machine is in for its annual service. Who's your money on, pal? Would love Tanganga and Dunne, up the Blades, up the Ramble. My money is on Jimmy Dunne, if I'm honest, Scott. Sorry to squash all the enthusiasm for it. Obviously, I think there's a chance, obviously, at a left field that we end up with these 2 forwards as well. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope Tanganga would finish off probably a perfect window. And anything else, we're being greedy other than Tanganga out with. Let's be honest. I'll start talking to you about, what about a backup keeper and things like that, because that's the territory we're getting to. That's how deep the squad depth is going to be. And you think about how different that is compared to 1st of Jan when we scraped over the line and then Helen says, shaping up to be a crazy but positive deadline day if all the rumours are true. Up the Blades, up the full-time Ramble. Thank you, Helen. Joe says, would love Tanganga and Dunne. Bit greedy, but a man can dream. But these 2 mysterious wingers are intriguing. Let's hope we're doing a Brighton. I hope that a man can hope, can't he, Joe? Dunne, second bid rejected, says Nico. Yeah, Tanganga time. It'd be great, wouldn't it? It'd be great. I can't see it. I cannot see it. Ryan Porteous, as I said, I've seen linked somewhere. Can't remember where it was because there's been that much information today. I like Ryan Porteous at Watford. Not really sure why they would entertain selling him. Played under Wilder at Watford, same as Hamza Chowdhury did. I think he's a decent player at this level. I really do. I'm not necessarily saying he's not in the same class as Tanganga, but he's right up there with Jimmy Dunne and Harry Darling for me. I would be one of those that we spoke about in pre-season as a signing I'd like to get. Sheffield United busy on deadline day doesn't feel right, says Joe. I completely agree. Jack says rollercoaster central. As Danny Hall has just said, we've bid again. I wonder if there's a few hours behind Nixon. No, Danny is all over it. Danny's got his finger to the pulse with Sheffield United news at the minute. He's the lead reporter now for the Star. And Nixon, whilst he gets an awful lot of information nationally, really, he's not as focused on individual clubs as these local reporters are. And Danny's got a great record. Getting exciting this, Jimmy says, zombie. Yes, mate. I'm so excited. Oh, my goodness, says Beast Boy. Just watched an Inusa compilation and he's a player. As I say, listen, I'm happy for you, do you, in terms of getting excited. I just don't want people to have a massive fall until we get a more certain source than somebody on X with 100 followers saying these are the 2 signings. I wouldn't necessarily buy into it 100%, but that is on you. If you want to do that, I'm not going to stop somebody getting excited. Can I be greedy, says Maury, and want Tanganga and Jimmy Dunne? Up the Blades, up the Ramble, up the 3MB. Also, fellow Ramblers. Yes, top man. Thank you, Maury, for supporting us, pal. Andrew says, loving these midday Rambles, Jimmy. Really hope we go and get Tanganga. However, as long as we get a centre back through the door, it can only be seen as a great window. I agree, Andrew. I agree, and what I don't want is people to be disappointed if we end up with Jimmy Dunne, for example, because we're still strengthening ourselves, or Harry Darling, or Ryan Porteous. Tanganga raises the bar, doesn't it? There's a statement signing here in defence, or there's a solid signing in defence. And what you don't want is people disappointed with the signing that actually comes in, because it improves us whatever happens. So it's great perspective from Andrew, and thank you for saying you're enjoying them. It's great, this full-time rambling, isn't it? We can jump on it any time when I'm not in the middle of Aldi. Up the blades, up the ramble, up the blades, up the full-time ramble, says Matthew. Thank you, pal. Kev says, hi, Jimmy. Sheffield Star reckons 2 wingers from abroad on their way, costing less than 3 million. Have you heard anything? Hopefully that's cleared it up for you a bit, Kev. Ian says, afternoon, Jimmy. Looks like you're in for a busy day. Please like. And for any newcomers, please subscribe. Thank you, mate. Jimmy's content is fantastic. Up the blades, up the ramp. Thank you, Ian. For a long-time supporter of the channel. He is our gatekeeper in the chats. He's the man that keeps everybody in order, lets them, you know, we try and foster a really inclusive community here. And if somebody sort of not steps out of line, because nobody ever really does, but if people get overexcited or we don't swear in the group or anything like that. So thank you to Ian for everything that you do as well, pal. Scotty says, latest 2 million bid rejected by QPR for Dunne. Scott, another roving reporter. I remember Scott's supported the channel for a long time as well. And he's always all over the latest news. So he's a bit of a sourcer. You know, like the Bladesman is an aggregator. So you go to the Bladesman on X and he will pull information from different sources and credit them, which is right. Scott does the same locally, if you like, and we'll pass it on to us to let you know where the news is coming from as well. Danny Chap says, refresh, refresh, refresh. Hoping for some centre-back news. Keep up the good work, Jimmy. Thank you, pal. Tommy says, good afternoon, Jimmy Ramble. Couple of nippy wingers could do us the world of good. Options out the wazoo. Up the blades, up the ramble. Like and subscribe. Zidane Inusa, says the Bladesman. So much content now. We have full-time ramble. Exciting times, Jimmy. Up the blades, up the ramble. Shout out to you, Ricky. Might be seeing you on screen sometime soon, hopefully. Beast Boy says, just watch Ballo and wow, the way he keeps that ball. He's a natural goal scorer. Beast Boy, I'm telling you, just approach with caution, pal. The best view on lunch, Jimmy. Up the blades, up the ramble. Thank you, Rai. Hope you're good, pal. Did you get me my bread? Yeah, you're free to call around and have some, David, anytime you like, pal. Matthew says, oh, we sign a central defender. Let's loan One out, Marsh out on loan as well. Yes, absolutely right. We've got space now for them to go out, haven't we? It's a no-brainer. The ambition this club is showing is amazing. It's leaving me speechless, says Beast Boy. What are some people going to do? And this is a minority I'm having a pop at, a very small minority. What are some people going to do when there's nothing to complain about? You know, I suppose we are second, which is pretty rubbish, isn't it? You know, why aren't we first? Why aren't we unbeaten this season? But if you cannot get behind the club at the minute and enjoy being a Blade, wow. Come under our wing, we'll get you there. Lewis says Tanganga would be a big statement signing and probably would say much more than Cannon, in my opinion. Yeah, I think Cannon was a statement signing. I'm not going to say it wasn't, because I've just said it previous. But I don't think he was in a position that we were screaming out for. Tanganga would be. So I understand what you're saying there. Tanganga and Cannon in the same window. Oh, my goodness, says Beast Boy. Afternoon, Jimmy says, Joe, provide me an argument. We're not going for Dunne and Tanganga up the blades. I think I just have, Joe. One has to sit out, don't they? And I don't think a new player is going to leave the club where they're starting as one of the main boys. Like Jimmy Dunne, for example, is their captain. He's a QPR captain, and he's playing every game apart from at the weekend when he was mysteriously left out with a groin injury. Tom says, afternoon, Jim, could probably potentially be one of the most impressive Januaries I can remember on the march. We were discussing it on 3MB last night. Is this the most impressive window, as in like summer and January combined in recent memory? Can you think of a better window than we've had than the summer window, where we lost a load of absolute club legends, let's be honest? John Egan, God rest George Baldock, Ollie Norwood walked out the door, McBurney, who were a huge contributor to us, like him or not, father. Loads of big characters, loads of club legends. Brought in loads of new faces. At least 7 of the 10 were immediately thrust into the first team, and then and have done superbly well. We're now going to hopefully bring in 5 new faces, which is going to improve us further. And they are all level up signings out there. It's so impressive, Tom. I'm with you, pal. Jack says Tom Cannon was such a weird move. Since we play with one striker, I do believe that money would have been done with better with Tanganga. Jack, Turkey Jack. Why are we picking holes? Why can't we have? People are saying, why can't we have both Cannon and Tanganga? We could. No, Dunne. Got to go for Tanganga now, says Jack. If we're paying 3 million for Dunne, just go for Tanganga. Weird, we're looking at buying 2 wingers. Not necessarily if they're development players, pal. Not necessarily, because we don't know if they're coming to immediately impact the first team, or with them being identified by data, whether they are being brought in for the long term. David says today is going to be epic. I have never been as excited on deadline day. Me too, pal. It's unbelievable, isn't it? QPR turned down our latest offer of 2 mil, says Zanbe. Andrew, do not be fooled by the Archer to Burnley nonsense. That is a fake Fabrizio Romano account. I'd be more concerned about Archer to Leeds, if I'm honest. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. I do think we need players that can make the step up, says Lee. We've seen last season how bad we were because none of our players could make that step up. I agree, Lee. In an ideal world, obviously, we go for Tanganga, don't we? If we can afford him, if it's not stretching us too far and putting the club in jeopardy. Because that's the logical approach, the player that we hope can best have the chance of making the step up. But obviously, there's finances involved. There's other things that we have to consider. So if Dunne or Darling or Porteous gets us up, then yeah, they might not be of the caliber of Tanganga, but at least then we've got another 120 million, haven't we, to look for a Tanganga. Beast boy, don't worry. Joe says, in my opinion, spending 5 million on Dunne and 2 wingers makes no sense instead of just going all in on Tanganga up the blades. That's a fair point. Because Tanganga is a level up on Dunne. I just have a sneaky suspicion. I hope I'm wrong that we're leveraging Tanganga. Inusa was heavily linked with Celtic a few weeks back, says Maury. Interesting. Burnley getting Edwards and Archer on deadline day cannot be true. I don't think Archer is. I'll be amazed. I've only seen it from a fake Fabrizio Romano account about Archer. They've obviously got Edwards. Ballo played for Chelsea's academy for 4 years, says Jack. Would surprise me if there was a language barrier. Yeah, as I say, he's not one of the names I was given, but I have seen it circulated. Haven't been this excited about a deadline day in a long time, says Beast. Me neither. Can't remember last time we were. The 2 lads can't speak English. Has anyone checked if any of Barnsley's academy are heading our way? Nice. I said they. Oh dear. Somebody check on Callum Fowler. Evening, Cal. Afternoon, even. I'm so used to being on it evening. Heard Leeds are in for an interesting creative midfielder. I'll just put New Juan. Cheers, Maury. 5 minutes late, but time for my dinner and some excitement. Absolutely right, pal. Thanks for joining us, mate. Luke's a Blade says, if we sign 2 wingers, I see Raksaki going backy to Palace and us getting Holding on loan. I can't imagine us spending another 5 million plus on deadline. I can't, Luke, but I didn't see us spending 10 plus 3 on Cannon. Jay says the names I've seen look decent, but could be someone completely different. Regardless, exciting times for us. Inus is a baller, to be fair, so wouldn't be furious if it was him. Kel says, are we getting any more players coming in? We certainly are, Kel. It certainly looks like we are. We're going to land at least a centre-half, if not more, which is ridiculous. Apparently, we've had 2 million rejected for Dunne. I'd walk away myself. Interesting. Would you walk away at 2 million? What you've got to think is, QPR have apparently said about Jimmy Dunne, and I know we're all blinded by the Tanganga news, but just take Tanganga out of the equation for a second. I think Jimmy Dunne is now, without Tanganga, is our best option to go for. Lee Edridge and myself have been on this for a long time. Shout out, Lee. He is out of contract at the end of the season, which makes it even more appealing, and chances are we can get a... Oh, there's another message coming in now. Oh, yeah. Same thing as Scotty tagged me in. Thank you, Andy, for tagging me in that. That he's out of contract at the end of the season, which would usually mean we can get a decent deal on him. If they're rejecting 2 million quid, Is he more than a £2 million player? I would say yes, he is. He's not due to the contract situation, but we'd still be getting a player worth more than £2 million, wouldn't we? So we've got to weigh up what's important to us, because if we walk away, the cards that we hold are, we've just mentioned 4 centre halves that we could potentially go for, and we'll get one of them. More than likely, we'll get one of them. Tanganga, which I know we weren't really talking about, but Dunne, Darling, and Porteous. There's also Rob Holding being mentioned, but I don't think we'll get him on loan because we've already got 5 loans. So really, really interesting to see what's happening. So we can say no to QPR because we're going to go buy Harry Darling for £1.5 million instead. We hold the cards in that regard. QPR want a replacement in for Jimmy Dunne before they sell him. It's going to be really interesting, isn't it? Going to be really interesting. I love it. I love everything about it. Here we go. Here we go. More news coming in. Thank you, Joe, for tagging me. Yeah, so apologies. Yeah, Joe's just correcting rumours that aren't true online. Love that. Arch to Burnley agreement in place, says Andrew, on a loan deal with over 70% salary covered by Burnley. Buy option clause worth 20 million, also included in the contract with potential 3.5-year deal to follow. Where's that from, Andrew? Where's that from? If you can source it for me and it's from Better Than a Fake Fabrizio Romano account, I'm very interested in hearing about it. And I would be sick as a dog, to be honest, if that's true. I only believe a few sources like Daniel, all things Blades, or now them Blades, says Maury. Fair dues, mate. Fair dues. You get your trusted sources, don't you? I noticed you didn't bring the Ramble in there, but I assume you do. Rob Holding says, Brad, you go for Rob Holding. If we pull off a good centre-back today, says Hyder, this is the best window of all time. Certainly the best January transfer window, isn't it? Advanced talks for Rob Holding, says Beast Boy. I heard Rob Holding was unavailable for loan, so doubt it would be him. I think it's going to be a buy if we bring a centre-half in. I think it's got to be. The only other option is making Chowdhury permanent. Okay. Right, breaking news from Danny Hall. The Blades have switched their attentions elsewhere after frustration over Jimmy Dunne and discovering Millwall's price for Tanganga. Okay. So we're looking at Rob Holding, apparently, because QPR have rejected 2 million. And we weren't happy with the price quoted by Millwall for Tanganga. Roller coaster all the time. Could Gilchrist get recalled and then we loan Rob Holding? Could. Well, actually, no, he can't get recalled. We could maybe negotiate. We could maybe negotiate an end to the loan, but the recall clause has expired. You can have as many loans as you want. We can only have 5 in the match day squad. Yeah, we wouldn't do it, Jay. We wouldn't do it because it's financially financial. You know, I can't think of an appropriate word to use, but it's a ridiculous thing to do, to pay somebody to sit out of the squad. We will only bring in 5 loans. It's financially irresponsible is probably the best way to put it. Callum Fowler, good evening, pal. Jimmy, we've still not got a striker. Ryan O'Neill is right there, pal. Ryan O'Neill is right there. I told you, he's the one to go for. What is happening? You dropped more points, didn't you, the other day? Shout out to Cal Fowler. I'm sure you all know him, and go and follow him if you don't. Very good, good lad. Happy Chappy says, we all know we all won't end up with a defender. We hardly ever get a player we desperately need on deadline day. Happy Chappy, and not so happy Chappy again. Unbelievable. Fancy taking Marsh, Callum, says an Elza Blade. No. Fair news. Jack says, love the day streams to watch whilst I work. Keep smashing it, Jimmy. Location is underestimated for players, in my opinion. I agree, Jack. I agree. Hardlines Cal, says Joe. YouTube royalty in the chat, says Ian. Shout out. Work's getting in the way of the ramble. Can't believe it. Catch you all later. Sorry, Lee. Sorry, pal. Appreciate you joining us. Over 1,000 people here. Absolutely ludicrous, isn't it? Ludicrous. We're going to say get back to work. Stay here with me. Stay here with me in Top Blades. What do you think about the 2 wingers, says Brad? Left field, like Danny called it, is the perfect way to describe it, because who saw it coming? I think these 2 wingers will not make an immediate impact on the first team. That's just my gut feeling. I think they will be like complementary signings, if you like, the development signings. I'm getting tagged in more stuff here. Andy, you're distracting me, mate. You're distracting me. Cole says, I think if we're going to take risks in terms of signings, now is the time to do so. Last season was the wrong time and an environment for those lads like Benny and Anis. Still fantasise over Kipre sign. Kipre would be a good signing, wouldn't he? But we mentioned him earlier, didn't we? Earlier in the season. Other teams are making moves as well. Leeds are pretty stagnant, as we've talked about, but already have a really good squad. Burnley might be being linked with, obviously, just signed that Lisbon kid who everybody's raving about. That might give them a creative spark that they've definitely been lacking. Sunderland and Borough are fighting it out for Adam Armstrong, I've just seen online. That's incredible. Incredible. I wonder if they've thought about pulling Daniel Bogdanovic out of retirement. He'd do a shift at Barnsley. How do Jimmy says Pixie? What are these two wingers that's having a medical? Left wingers apparently combined 2 million. Yeah, we've talked about it, pal. Pixie says smash that like button, Blaze. Thank you, mate. Good morning, Jimmy says Sonny. Great to see you on a Monday. If we can secure a centre back, I'll be satisfied with this window. Fair play to you, and thanks for keeping us all informed. Great bloke. Up the Blades, up the ramp. Thank you, pal. Appreciate the support. Lee says Tanganga done, and the two wingers. This will be the best window in Blades history. You've got to be dreaming there, Lee. Tanganga and Dunne. Come on, mate. Come on. You're a smart lad. You're a smart lad, you know. Oh, tagged again. Tagged again. Oh. Mike McGrath of The Telegraph. 87,000 followers. He's now reporting Sheffield United have held talks over deals for Peruvian striker Jefferson Caceres. Let's hope he's not Caceres, who plays in South America, and Nigerian winger Christian Nwachwu, who's been playing in Bulgaria. Right. Okay. Let's see if there's any more information on that. No. No. Okay. Wow. Moving all the time. Maury says, I think Rob Holding is more likely to make the step up to the Premier League. He was a regular starter for Arsenal a few years back. Maybe. He's not played regularly for 2 years, Maury. I think that's why we've got a chance. Oh, we get some of the youngsters out. I agree. Important that One and Marsh spend the second half of the season on loan somewhere, wasted at the under-21s level. Very important. Let's hope it don't get missed in all the madness of today's window, because I agree. So I'll link to Max Vober. Thoughts, Jimmy? No, thank you, Ian. No, thank you. We do need a left centre half, but I mean, he's already scored. Did he score? No, it don't matter. He scored no goal in it of the week. But no, I don't want anybody from Leeds. They won't sell to us anyway, to be honest. Tommy Watson to Brighton for 18 mil and Adingra going the other way on loan with an obligation to buy. Scary business, says Joe. Okay, interesting. Don't know much about Adingra, if I'm honest, but Tommy Watson's the right player for Sunderland. Any more links and will be known as the Sausage Blades. Anything on the Ox? No, Rich. That has been a non-starter. I don't know where his name keeps coming from. I have never, seen a legit link to Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Corinthos Blade says, Jimbo, stop saying Sheffield United. It's simply United. There's only one. I agree there's only one United, but it's just it's how we've always referred to him. Or I have, certainly. From Tanganga to Dunne to Darling to Holding, says Scott. I know, we've only been on just over half an hour. Cole says, this ramble is going to get me through my college study period. Cheers, Jimmy, and loving this content. Thank you, Cole. Up the Blades, up the ramble, up behind the ramble. Like and subscribe. Hope it's not Holding, says Jay. Rich says, Jaffet Tanganga is now our number one target. I hope you're right, pal. I hope you're right. Sam says, Alan Nixon's a liar. Okay. You said he's hit and miss. I agree. I stand by it. I think he is hit and miss. Tanganga, says Phil, would be a super statement for the Blades, up the ramble, like and subscribe. Thank you, mate. Afternoon, Jimmy. I've done Holding Darling. Up the Blades, up the ramble, like and subscribe. Nice. Wolves have signed a centre back this morning. Don't know if that opens the door for Tanganga. Potentially, because they were linked with Tanganga, weren't they? So, loving the daytime rambles, Jimmy, up the Blades, up the ramble. Thank you, pal. I'm loving it too. Still can't get my head around it, to be honest. It's a real thing. If there's nothing to complain about, then the Count's going to have to hand in his resignation. I know. Someone do a quick check on David Webster. Marsh, to be fair to David Webster, and I know people give him stick, He's just anti-Chris Wilder. He's not anti-Sheffield United. He's anti-Chris Wilder. I don't mean to speak for him, but I think that's fair that we say that. Marsh had a deal to a League One club collapse, says Scott, our roving reporter. That needs a coffee machine in your den. Jimmy, says Pixie. All these lives, you'll need something to keep your sense sharp. I know. It's just taking a break to sit between, isn't it, though, while I'm talking, because I'm going on that much. Cold now. Cold. Pete O'Rourke is usually on the ball, says Matt. And he just tweeted saying Rob Holding is now in advanced talks. I would love him to be right. I would love him to be. I've known him miss a couple, that's all. So maybe I'm doing him a disservice by saying he's a bit hot and cold. Anything in being in advanced talks for Rob Holding, says Sam. How would that work? We've used all our loans. I know I thought the same. I don't think it'll be a loan. Burnley have just announced Marcus Edwards from Sporting Lisbon, says Matt. That's a massive worry for us. Yeah, it's everybody's strengthening around us, aren't they? You expect it, but I'm happy with what we're doing, pal. Can have as many loans as we want, can only play 5. Yeah, that's true. CJ with the... I know, pal. Exciting, isn't it? Are the AI found wingers a Football Manager special? Just type in Wonder Kids. Yeah, probably, Dan. Probably, mate. Anything in Zidane, Inusa and Tieno Ballo? I don't think so, Sam, personally. I've not seen it from a legit source yet, put it that way. Scott says, regarding Danny Hall, these 2 wingers ain't development players or first team ready. Which is... Why then? Why? So, would love a done deal for Tanganga. It would be my darling, says Pixie. Nice. Get all 3 in, Blades. Swap Tanganga for Brewster. It's a hard sell, innit? Will says, forget Tanganga with these new owners. Let's get Van Dijk before he signs a new deal. Football Insider, 114,000 followers saying Holding done deal on loan. Really strange if it's a loan deal, Andrew. And fair play, thank you for sourcing it and letting us know that it's come from a reputable source. Really strange to get a 6th loan. There will be, I would be amazed if there's not another domino to fall in that, such as an existing loan going back, or us making Hamza permanent, for example, or sending Gilchrist back, something like that. LUFC Passion says, credit to you lot for making signings. Wish we had the same ambition. How do you feel, LUFC? I mean, I've spoke to Connor about it, and I've seen some Leeds fans comments in our stream as well. Surely, as an opposition fan, like we've just looked at Marcus Edwards signing for Burnley and think, oh, that's not great. But we're also strengthening really well. I get that you've already got a really strong squad, but surely you're thinking, whoa, we've still got a huge open hole between the sticks for us. Why aren't we just strengthening? Johnny the Clown says, afternoon, Jimmy. Congrats on the step up to full-time YouTuber. Nothing beats doing something you love. Thank you, mate. Completely agree. I cannot describe the feeling. Regardless what happens later, what a change to have some positive excitement on deadline day up the full-time ramble. Too right, mate. Thank you. One for the summer. Michael Junior Diaz, says Lee, 21-year-old, 6'5" pacey centre-half from Troyes in League 2. Yeah, I know you've mentioned him to me before, haven't you? Let's hope it's a legit link, and let's hope that he's not like the last signing from Troyes. Helen says, apparently we've just won the race to sign Rob Holding from Palace on loan. Thank you, Helen. Sorry for all the tags. Don't be sorry, mate. Don't be sorry. I love it. I'd be checking your phone for a bit more news regarding Holding and 2 wingers. Thank you, Scott. I'll have a look in a minute when I'm just trying to catch up on some of the comments. Stuck at work till 7, says Beardman in work late, and I've just run out of coffee. Bring us some, please, Jimmy, you layabout. Up the ramble, up the blades. Jay Clear says, paying more than £2 million for a player who's got 6 months left and his better position is right back, where he wouldn't play, is a silly deal, in my opinion. I don't think he's a better right back. And QPR fans will tell you different, because he's played right back for them and apparently played really well this season. But he's played over 200 games at centre-half in this league. And he signed for them as a centre-half. We're about between 3 and 5 million from Bristol City, I think it was. He's a centre-half that can play right back. I agree. I wouldn't want to pay more than £2 million for somebody in the last 6 months. But if we end up going to 2.5, we've probably still got a £4 million player on his hands. That was my point. And I agree with you, though. It's not good business, particularly. Scott's on it like a car bonnet, says Azza. That's right. Borough Journal on Twitter saying that Armstrong is leaving Southampton today, more likely than Archer leaving. you know what? I'd rather Armstrong to Borough, who are in our dust. Let's be right. I've said it now, Anna, but what are they, 17 points away from us or something? Armstrong to Borough than Archer to Leeds. I would much prefer that, even though I think Armstrong is a great player at this level as well. Lunch break, and I see Jimmy's live, says Finn. Fantastic stuff. Just watched a highlight reel of these two wingers we supposedly linked to, and I have come to the conclusion that we're winning the Champions League. It's great, isn't it, being able to be excited. If all these transfers come true, says Kev, we'll need a double-decker bus for away games. Lee says, Jimmy Dunne's a 5 million plus defender when under contract. We'll not lose any money on him, even at 3 million quid. It will be a very good signing and improve us. I agree. We're not getting a centre-back, says Happy Chappy. I think I'd take that bet. Bet responsibly, so we're doing it for fun, but I'd take that bet. Not a fan of Holding, says Brad. Praying Tanganga comes in. I think there's a danger now, isn't there? If it's not Tanganga, some people will be disappointed, which is a shame because we will have improved at centre-half. Afternoon, Jimmy, says S17. Any news on Blaster and his return date? Looking forward to hearing from Andy the Blade tonight regarding our transfer window business. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, up behind the Ramble. Yes, the channel MVP, Andy the Blade, will be back tonight. Make sure you're here at 10 o'clock with us. Before that, I'll be doing a watch-along of Borough and Sunderland. Second tier podcast are now reporting that we're now in for Rob Holding via Sammy Mockbell, who's the chief football reporter of the Daily Mail, with nearly 174,000 followers. Deal's progressing. Let's click into this article and see what the Daily Mail is saying about it. And all it is a link to different news stories rather than the one news story I've clicked on to find out about. So we may have to look at that a little bit later, but there you go. Ever moving. In terms of Blaster's return date, it was assumed by all, including the lad himself, that he would be out for the season. Latest is, I think he might be back a bit sooner than that. So, hey, we'll see you tonight, Jimmy, says David. You will, pal. You will, pal. Up the Blades, up Andy the Ramble. I'm not sure what that is. Rather not have Holding, says Jay. Okay. Just seen Rob Holding on loan, says Andrew. Really strange on loan, this. I'll be surprised if it's a loan. Mate, when you guys did possible transfer video, I said Tanganga was going to be my first choice transfer. I think you did, Riff. I think I remember that. If this works out, but not only would we have had the best summer, but would also winter window. Yeah, absolutely. And the Ramble, of course, Maury. Top man. Rob Holding just ain't for me, says Joe. Danny says, what's the most amount you would say Dunne is worth? I'd say about 5 million quid, probably. I'd say about 5 million quid. Rob Holding won't be match fit, says Scott. I agree with that. It'll take us a month to get him up to speed. Yeah, there's a danger there. And then you just give the update about Tanganga. Yes, absolutely right, Riff. I could never have seen it, I'll be honest, Tanganga, because of the quality of the player and the money it would take to get him out of there. We haven't got him yet, have we? But it's exciting. He's holding an upgrade on Robbo. Not so sure. Absolutely is. But you're asking the wrong person, Scott, aren't you, to be fair? Slav Paul says, I think Chris has already said that he wouldn't pay for a player on loan and be out of the squad. Yeah, he wouldn't. It's just poor business. And Elza Blade says, I can only think either Hamza or BBD may be made permanent to make space for Holding. Yeah, I agree. And with Hamza being the cheaper of the two, it would likely be Hamza, wouldn't it? Live stream from Aldi should be introduced as a new feature. Look, I'm all up for new show ideas, Johnny, but the Aldi Ramble is not necessarily one that's coming anytime soon. Feels like we're going to be the champ version of Chelsea, says Tim. Hope you're well, mate, over in Thailand. Two wingers, names confirmed: Jefferson Caceres and Christian Nwachu. Yes, bless you. Haaland to sign, says Scottish Blade. So this is what I mean. So Scott's just confirmed that. I think he's probably read the same report as I read out about 5-10 minutes ago. People have already gone and had a look at Bello and Isuma. It's one of them, and it's sort of trying to work out where the reliable sources are. So it's just, Yeah, it's Mike McGrath, isn't it? Yeah, it's the one that we read out. Haaland to sign. Says Scottish Blade, heard it from a bloke in a pub in Perth. Scotty is sure. Let me go watch a compilation of both. Luke Booth already won the window. We're just making it better. Absolutely right, pal. We have won the window, haven't we? What a brilliant window it's been for us. Another striker, says Jay. Those last two sound like wind-ups, says Cooler King. Don't think so. Don't think so. Just play 11 strikers at this point. Peter O'Rourke saying Rob Holding deal agreed. Don't want that guy, says Jake. Interesting. Hamza Chowdhury. Big muscles, says Akram. Absolutely right. What a player he's going to be for us. Tom says some not very happy people about the Holding deal on Twitter. I think that's harsh. I think it's harsh. I think he's going to be tainted with the Tanganga comparison. So harsh. Some not very happy people about Holding deal on Twitter. He said, "There's no way a Dingra goes to the champ. Surely, don't know, Paolo. Don't know, mate. Don't know much about him, if I'm honest. Jimmy, you look after your vocal cords. You sound a bit hoarse, lad. Full-time rambling. We power through, don't we? Thank you, though, Si. I appreciate it. The main man today, Danny Hall on X, where he's living, I think, for the rest of the day. Get following him if you're not. Not long to go now, he says. Yeah, I'll be talking to you at midnight, mate. Don't you worry. I know you'll still be up and about. Holding is only 29, played 100+ games for Arsenal. Would be class, in my opinion. I agree, Jack. I think it's a really good signing. The only question, which has rightfully been raised, is his match fitness, because he's not played regularly for 2 years, probably. Why not both centre-backs, says Wayne. One in and an L gets injured, back to square one. I think we won't, because how do you sell it to somebody like Jimmy Dunne? If you bring in Tanganga and Dunne, for example, dream, absolute dream for Sheffield United. Bringing those two in, how do you... Tanganga goes straight in. He's the statement signing, alongside an L, who is also the existing MVP at the back. I know he's not been amazing at times this season, but he's got a lot of credit in the bank. Jimmy Dunne don't get in. How do you sell it to Jimmy Dunne to leave as captain of QPR? And I get we could be in the Premier League next season, but if he can't get in the Championship, how's he going to get on getting in the Premier League? I just think it's a tough sell to bring in two centre-halves. It's not impossible, Wayne, but I think it's a tough sell. He's holding a done deal. These are two who are coming. Are these two who are coming in? Not sure, Sam, to be honest. Holding loan deal agreed, apparently. Really, well, I'm going to be... I've just turned notifications on for Danny, and that's why my phone's been absolutely crazy. I suggest we are... Oh, pain, what's going on here? Being tagged again. Oh, it's Jack. Thank you, mate. The two wingers we revealed were bound for Bramall Lane this morning can now be unmasked. A Nigerian teen and a rookie playing his trade in Peru. Meanwhile, United priced out of Jimmy Dunne and Tanganga. Priced out of those two. Spot on. Thank you, Danny. Appreciated. Thank you to Luke Booth, who's just become a Platinum Rambler. Really appreciate it. You'll get an email that gives you access to our WhatsApp group as well automatically. So, yeah, jump in there and thank you for the support. Good day to join, because it is blowing up in there as well. Absolute madness, this. Absolute madness. So the names that we read out from Mike McGrath earlier, Danny has just now confirmed through the Star. It's all happening, isn't it? All happening. We have two right backs, both on loan, and players we probably couldn't sign at the end of the season. We buy Dunne for a right back and Tanganga for centre back, covering us and helping promotion push, stepping up next season in the Prem, says Joe. Maybe. I think we have a chance of signing both, particularly if promoted. We might not want to sign Alfie Gilchrist now if he's going to be a second choice. I think we've certainly a chance of signing. If we go up and Ipswich come down, for example, why couldn't we sign Harry Clark if he does well for us? A ramble at snap time, says Dean. Might not have a kip today then. Tanganga be a class signing, especially if that's how you spell it. Yes, it is, mate. Well done. Yeah, it's saying it that I've got a problem with. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Top man. David Vinter says, anything on Tangago from Millwall? I'm hoping so, David. I'm hoping so. Danny's latest report, though, is priced out of a move for him. No compilations on any of the wingers. Don't know if they're good or not, says Beast Boy. Don't always go with compilations either, because they'll make them look amazing. I'd have to spend a week doing it, put a show reel together, making me look half decent and professional at this. We all know better, don't we? So Ben Jacobs confirms holding to the Blades. Currently on Twitter Live, talking to Fabrizio. Nice, Scott. Thank you. Is it concerning they can't speak the language, says Sam? I don't think they are going to be directly impacting the first team at the moment, Sam, if I'm honest. Nothing happening on our side, says Marching On Together, LUFC. Matthew says, the wingers are Leroy Sané and Vinicius Jr. Sounds about right, Matt. Sounds about right, mate. Won't agree with Palace for holding, according to Pete O'Rourke. Okay, Rich, thank you. Saw Marcus Edwards at Porto against Sporting in April last year, says Lee. Came on, did nothing. Chinned the Porto right back and got sent off all in 6 minutes. Let's hope he does that in his debut for Burnley then. Yeah, that'll do me. Why don't we go for Jake Cooper at Millwall, says Sam. I think that ship's sailed, to be honest. I do. And if you can get Tanganga out of Millwall instead of Jake Cooper, I know which one I'd rather have. Holding played 1 game in 2 years, says Jake. That's the problem, isn't it? That is the problem. Match fitness. I don't think you have to be elite fitness to be a centre-half, if I'm honest. I think it's the one position on the pitch, other than goalkeeper, where you don't have to be elite fitness, I think. But you still have to be match fit. You still have to be. And it's going to take time to get up to speed, isn't it? Don't sign Hamza on a permanent, please, says Common Boy from Bangladesh. We are going down. We will be needing him, from a Leicester fan. Look, if you're a common boy from Bangladesh rather than a common boy from Leicester, why don't you come over to the red and white side of Sheffield now that Hamza, your boy Hamza, is a blade? I think we might sign him permanently, pal. I have to say. I think that's what's happening. Kyle says, any legs to this, Jimmy? Sheffield United have held talks with Peruvian Jefferson Caceres in Nigeria. Yes, there are legs to that, pal. Confirmed by Mike McGrath initially, then by Scott, our roving reporter, and then by Danny Hall, who's all over all the Sheffield United news, as we know. Contact says Tanganga feet is covered regardless. It doesn't matter if we stay down, either Anel or Souza depart. We should buy him and Hamza now. They are both replacements to cover our backs. Do you agree, Jimmy? I think when you put it like that, you can spin an argument that way. Yeah, Tanganga would pay for itself because Anel would leave. A little bit like me proposing we sign Hamza for Souza if not promoted. I think that's sensible. Championship clubs signing more players than a Premier League club. We signed only Woyo for 3 million, and you guys signed like 20 players. This will be our 5th signing of the window. We needed it though, pal. We needed it. We have been lacking squad depth. Our first 11 that Wilder assembled in the summer was more than good enough to challenge at the top end of the league if everything gelled together right, and it did, thankfully. We kept as many fit as we could for as long as we could. Then when we start getting injuries, the depth issue really hit us. Sidney Peck, who's just come through our youth team, has been one of our standout players who wasn't expected to play more than 10 games this season. So now we're working on the depth, and this makes us really confident going forward. Finn says, has Tanganga been playing centre-half or right back for Millwall? Centre-half, mate. I know he's played right back previously at Tottenham. He's a beast, though, isn't he? Leads in for Chinese striker, wang him in, says David. Danny says, Marcus Edwards not as good as they wish he was. He wouldn't be good at Burnley if he were that good, would he? And that's no slight on Burnley, but he wouldn't be coming to the Championship. And I don't think he'll adapt to the Championship football too well either. Has it been said what Tanganga's price tag was if it's scaring us off at him? I would think it'd be 8 million plus, personally. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, Dan. But that's a guess from me. Terence says, Jimmy, any club should be happy to take Marsh. He will only improve over time. I agree. It's just, I suppose, if you're taking him on loan, you want to know if he's fit for the level, don't you, at that time? He's going to be some player, though. Holding on loan, says Joe, already used all 5 spots, and we've been told he's not available for loan. Doesn't add up. I think we'll be signing him permanently. I haven't read, obviously, I've been with you guys, so I haven't read the latest. But if it's Rob Holding, whoever it is, the centre-half, I would expect us to sign him permanently. Cole says, in the best case scenario, what's your ideal deadline day? Mine's Tanganga, Darling, and some of them football manager wonder kids. Ideal would be Tanganga and Dunne. And obviously the icing on the cake would be these young kids coming in. But Tanganga would be my main focus. As I've said all the way through, I just don't think it will be Tanganga. I would be focusing on Jimmy Dunne, personally. I think it's going to be Jimmy Dunne. But again, might be wrong. 1,265 people in here. Thank you for joining me. Won't surprise me if a swap deal with Anel and Holding. Up the Ramble, up the... Well, that does us no good, does it? Because we're losing our best defender to try and strengthen our defence. It doesn't work for me, Paul. That worst case for me is Holding coming in and Gilchrist going back will make no sense. I think it's a bit of a like for like, that, isn't it, really? Scott says Tanganga and Dunne get me excited. Holding doesn't so much. Not saying he's a bad player, mind, but I'd just rather go all out for either of those instead. Fair enough, pal. Johnny, that's a great idea. new series of what's what's on the Aldi middle aisle. No, I can't add any more content that's not. No, I can't. Why would you sign Holding when you guys have money to buy a better 25 to 28-year-old centre back? Because it'll all depend. All the factors will come in, won't it? So he will be less money than the alternative that you're suggesting, I think. Ramble Show, talk as we shop. Latest news on Sheffield United while Jimmy runs us through his weekly Aldi shop. Do you know what really annoys me? Mrs. Ramble will do me a list, but it's all out of order in the aisles. She doesn't know where anything is in the aisles. So she'll just give me a list rather than text me like I always ask her to do, so I can reorder it. Anyway, that's first world problems. Lee says, exciting times, best window I can remember so far. Hopefully get a decent centre-back in, up the Blades, up the Ramble. Caceres is pronounced Caceres. So we know he's not going to be Cac then, don't we? Nice one, Ian. Thank you. Riff says, look like Spurs are going in for Gay. Full out for Gay. Worries me Tanganga would be the type of player Palace would look at should they choose to sell. Good point. There's always the domino effect, isn't there, on days like today where one move... Like, for example, if we want Jimmy Dunne, QPR have said they want a replacement. So that spurs them into action to buy somebody they weren't even looking at today. We simply have to get a centre-half in, says Steve, or it's going to be a very long run-in. Realistically, we need two. If Enel gets an injury, we're up the creek without a paddle. If Enel gets an injury, Robinson's back in team, isn't he? I think we will definitely get one, Steve. Definitely get one. Mindful Horses says, love to get both Darling and Tanganga. Make a rate statement. It would make a statement. Could Dunne and Tanganga be someone we look at in the summer and Darling? We need somebody now, Sam. It's about getting up now, isn't it? I think if we don't get Tanganga now, I think Tanganga, if we get promoted, would be a potential target. Scott says Tanganga, Hegem or Pollock would be my top three targets. Like them all, to be honest. Like them all. Good shouts, those. Donny All's put an article out in the start on the wingers. He has, yeah. I would advise everybody to go over there and go and support Danny and read the Star articles in full. Bit of a left field question, Jim says, Tom, what do you think to that Fabrizio bloke? I find it so annoying when massive moves get leaked by him beforehand. No surprises anymore. I think it's all part of the new social media world, Tom. I'm part of it, so I can't really... We're on here now, aren't we, talking about rumours and what we've heard. Danny's writing articles about it. People are really keen to find out, but there's still surprises that come. There's still information that people get wrong. So Fabrizio Romano isn't 100% accurate. He's just got a lot of contacts in the game. So I enjoy it, I must say, and I think it gets fans excited to hear a name and then talk about it and run away and sort of check them out and see what this is. And, so I think it's all part of it, to be honest. Nick says, stopping on live until 11 p.m, Jimmy. It looks like it. No, I'm not. I'm not going all the way through, mate. I'm not, but I'll be wrapping up soon, as soon as I get to the end of these comments. And then we'll be back tonight and maybe before if we sign somebody. Jack Clark is a great signing this season. He's managed to score an own goal, give away a pen, and get a red card in the same match. Brilliant talent. You mean Harry Clark, Luke? I think you're on about Harry Clark, aren't you? Our new signing. It's looking like it'll be Rob Holding, says Jack. Left it too late, in my opinion, for a centre-back, as teams can just hold us up to ransom. They can't, though, can they? They can't, because we'll get Rob Holding if we want him. We could also go and choose to get Harry Darling. We could pay more and get Jimmy Dunne. We hold cards as well. Who would you want? Jimmy says Alfie. I would want Tanganga. I think the realistic option is Dunne. I'm not unhappy with Darling, Porteous, and I'm not unhappy with Holding. I think Holding's a very good defender, but it's his match fitness that concerns me. Tanganga was too much, apparently. Scotty says, how do we pay 2 million for two wingers that won't get into the team but can't afford 3 million for Dunne? It's not that we can't afford the 3 mil, Scott. It's that are we reluctant to pay it? Maybe that's more it. Good match day vlog by the lad on Saturday. Sorry, forgot his name, says Chris. You are referring to Ramble on the Road. It's brilliant first time vlog from the Ramble, and it was all thanks to Jord Motson, who will be joining me for commentary tonight. Thank you to Jord for his work on that, and there'll be loads more of those to come. We're already talking to other Ramblers about doing those on our behalf when they're going to away games and even home games. Dave the Nose is going to look at doing the next Ramble on the Road for Portsmouth at home this weekend. Absolutely incredible. I'm not a Hamza fan, to be honest, says boy from Bangladesh. I've been a Leicester fan for 8 years. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not one of those Bangladeshi guys who keep spamming Hamza everywhere. But Hamza is a good player, to be honest. Yeah, he is a good player, pal. Riff says, only thing I would say about YouTube compilations is that you need to look for repeat actions. Ones where they do random tricks are not always good, but one that show intelligence off the ball are. Completely agree with that, Riff. Really good point. And it goes into the minutiae of what you're watching, really, sometimes. It's like a layered, intelligent point because exactly as he said there, you can see a one-off trick and it'd be exactly that because he might try it 10 times a game and only one of them gets into the highlight package. But look at the runs that they're making off the ball. Look at how they're creating space for others. They're the interesting ones for me. That shows the house. Connor says, sorry, Jimmy, but none of y'all get into our strongest 15 for Leeds. Connor, you are having a laugh, pal. You're having a laugh. Hello, says Alfie. Hello, pal. Holding doesn't make sense, in my opinion. He's not played anything, says Jack. Jack the Warrior. Come on, pal. Turkey Jack. None of your new signings, none of our new signings will get into your 15. Tom Cannon probably starts for you, let's be honest. In the 9, he's better than Pirro. He's better than Joseph. Brereton Diaz compliments you. I'm not saying he starts over Ramazani, but he's certainly in the squad. Harry Clark, I've not seen enough of him, but I'm not a Jayden Bogle fan, so I'd rather have Harry Clark personally. That's my and Hamza Chowdhury. How can Hamza Chowdhury not get in anyone's team looking at that performance? Hamza Chowdhury were fantastic. Him and Tanaka together. John Egan to Hull by all accounts, says Mark. Yeah. One of them, isn't it? It didn't work out at Burnley. He's not being fit, which is why we made that decision. But yeah, it's a good signing for Hull. Really good player at this level. Love John Egan. Love him. Afternoon, Jimmy, says George. I think if Tanganga is viable, he's the one. Can step up to the Premier League if we're promoted and has the athletic profile for a Premier League player. Plus, if we don't go up, we can resell and recoup. Great point. Rumours of McBurney on his way back and your dad is having palpitations, says Simon. I'm going to ask him about that tonight. Have we missed the boat there? Have we missed out? Early prediction, 2 younger wingers, Tanganga in the last hour for big money and Holding, says Joe. Wow. Hold on to that prediction and we'll come back to you and credit you, mate, if it happens. Connor, who will go up next year? Not Leeds. You guys will bottle it, surely. The common boy from Bangladesh is welcome in our chat anytime. Do you expect Brewster to go out on loan if we bring in these wingers? I think a loan is a strange one because he's last year at contract. It could happen, though, because that would allow a club to only pay part of his wages, whereas we will cover some of them. And then we're essentially just releasing him for free, aren't we, for a cheaper price. Could happen. He could also leave permanently. He might stay. Who knows? Who knows? Our bench is going to be ridiculously strong going into the second half of the season. If we're serious, we should go for Tanganga, says Turkey Jack. Instead of Rob, he's played nothing. Lucas 76ers says, do we have any insight on how these 2 wingers have been identified through data? Not at the moment, pal. We don't really. They must be leading the charts at something, but it will be interesting to know what that was. I'll try and find out. Sunderland after Dan's from Liverpool, says David. Yeah, that'd be a good signing, I think. Well, we did beat him to Tom Cannon, didn't we? So they need somebody up front. Andy says, if we suddenly got cash to buy 2 more forwards, deals we possibly could have done earlier in the window, wonder if a deal has been done to sell One. No, surely not. Surely not. I don't think we'll sell any of our stars, other than Havenhand, who is further down the pecking order than Marsh and One, but it looks like he's going to Birmingham, which is a surprising one for me. Is Brewster sleeping with someone's daughter in the Sheffield board? Why is he getting so much chances with negative ball control? I think he's played okay in the last few games, other than the last game we played, which I didn't think he did very well. So he's earned his place in the team in a really difficult period for us. So, there's still some hope for Brewster from some Blades fans. Cole says, what time do you think we're announcing players? If we're going to get anyone done today, best case is first one being by my tea time and the other when I'm watching the 10 o'clock news. Well, why would you be watching the 10 o'clock news when the Ramble's on, pal? Talking you through deadline day. We'll talk you through it, Cole. Don't you worry, pal. Sheffield United owners, if you're watching, dig deep and sign Tanganga, please. And thank you, says Lee. Happy Chappy says, we've known for ages we need another centre-back. Why have we left it till deadline day when every single team knows we're increasingly desperate for a defender? It's a good point, Happy Chappy, but excuse me, all for some reason, and there are different theories on it, but all the deals seem to bottleneck, don't they, to deadline day. So yeah, it's crazy how it all happens in the one day, but it seems to. most of the business will be done today of the whole window. You're not getting Dunne and Tanganga, lads. You're signing Holding, says Ollie. We may well do. We don't accept Brewster hate here, says Beast Boy, who is joint president of the Rian Brewster fan club. Riff says, watched a few games pre-season, although I think Marsh has a future. He's nowhere near ready with his positioning. Keeps running into defenders. Became Peck's biggest fan overnight for the same reason. I assume you meant. Why do you love him so much? That's about Brewster. I can't keep going on to Brewster comments while we're focusing on what's happening in transfer window. Luke says should try to get Isaac Toure. He's 6'9", impossible to beat on corners, and would look funny if he stands next to Hamer. Well, one Harry Suter were like 6'6" or something. He were ridiculously tall. No impact at attacking headers either. I think Toure is another one that Lee's mentioned to me previously. Back to work, team meeting in 10 minutes. Sorry, pal. Great show, Jim. Catch you tonight. Up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Thank you, mate. Jimmy, you should retire if you do a full day live show with Nick Cook on. Yeah, Nick's welcome anytime. Nick's welcome anytime. Ramble royalty. Clark was terrible for Ipswich last season, says Ollie. Who do you follow, Ollie? Are you an Ipswich man? Are you a Leeds man? David saying Benny Hill reporting 2 wingers and McManaman and John Barnes. Nice. CSC official says, just join, mate. Just wondering if you could update me on the rumours, up the Blades, up the Ramble. Best thing to do, pal, is jump back to the start because we talk through them all there and things do change throughout the stream. Apparently, Palace just rejected 70 million for Gay. Oh, my goodness me. Holding has played 1 game in 2 years as AI malfunctioning began. Dunne or Darling needs to be done. Yeah. He does, Scott. I agree. The Holding deal is an odd one. He hasn't played much football. If he signs on loan for at least one of our loans, making the squad each week, I don't think it'd be a loan, Mark. I can't see how it can be. Max again saying that Iggs is going to Hull. Good deal for Hull. The moderator is a big Brewster fan. Watch yourself. Jay says Gilchrist is a better centre half than Holding. The Holding deal is just an odd one to me. What time are you on later? Might get up early to tune in. So I'm on doing a watch along, Tim, which will definitely be too early for you. So that's at 7:30 on Behind the Ramble. We're going to watch Borough against Sunderland with Jord Motson. He can do the professional commentary while I just pick holes and sort of try and remember who's who. And then at 10 o'clock, that'll finish. And we're straight over here to the Ramble with Andy the Blade, 10 o'clock. Seeing in deadline day at 11. Getting his take on the transfer window so far, and also any deals that are ongoing, because by the looks of it, we're going right to the wire, aren't we? Any news on Jefferson Caceres? I think Ian told me that this is the way. And Christian Wachu, Jimmy, bless you. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, up Behind the Ramble, like and subscribe. Not at the minute, Jake, but there will be lads we're looking at now that we know that it's a possibility. That's what's being talked about. In terms of what, Mark? What's being talked about? Ollie, Leeds fan, but hope it's us too come the end of the season. Burnley drawing too much for me. Yeah, nice one. Thank you, pal. And George, with our last comment of this stream, it's certainly not the last time you'll see me today with over 1,300 people there. Oh, yeah, sorry, Holding on loan is what people are talking. I know it is, mate. I know. I just can't see it being a loan. It doesn't make sense. Georgie says we need 1 or 2. We need 1 or 2. We need half an eye on stepping up to the Premier League. I know it's jumping the gun, but do we want to have to do a big rebuild again if promoted? First season in the Premier League, we added 4 or 5 and did pretty well. I agree. I think if you're going to sign for that bridge to the Prem, Tanganga's the one. It's just, can we justify spending that sort of money? I know it's sort of set airs racing, hasn't it, with the Tom Cannon deal? But wow. Scott says I'd rather have Egan for 250 than Holding. Luke says Wendy's looking to go for a playoff spot. I hope they go up with us, so we know we won't finish bottom. Riff says we never played to Brewster's strengths and then destroyed him. He made a name for himself running the channels, and we just never played the early balls. This season we've played him as a backup 10. Cooler says, what do you think to the possible Cameron Archer Leeds move? Makes me feel physically sick, to be honest, Cooler King. And I think it's very greedy of a team that's just won 7-0. They don't need another striker. Hands off, my boy. George says, I think we need athletes in the Premier League, and Tanganga fits that profile. Maybe we're looking to the foreign markets. Many foreign players have traits like pace and strength, and that some homegrown players don't. Thank you to everybody for joining me on your lunch hour or whatever it is that you're doing. I will be back later today. the next scheduled ramble is for the watch along on Behind the Ramble at 7:30 with Jordan Motson. I may well be back before then, depending on what news comes in. But for now, come on, you red and white wizards. Up the blade!